As a faculty to improve reading comprehension through Read Aloud, Think Aloud, because reading comprehension is essential for all of our students in order for them to succeed in all content areas here at Peck.
Leer en voz alta y pensar en voz alta es una estrategia que se utiliza para aprender a comprender el texto que estamos leyendo. Cuando uno lee en voz alta, las imágenes que creamos en nuestras mentes, todas las conexiones que creamos entre lo que estamos leyendo, lo que nos ha pasado en nuestra vida o lo que leemos en otros libros, lo traemos y eso nos hace entender el libro y eventualmente recordamos lo que estamos leyendo porque lo hemos conectado a otras experiencias que tenemos.
Read Aloud, Think Aloud is when the whole class or the student, small group, individual, all have access to the same text, and the teacher reads aloud as they follow along with that, and the teacher shares her thoughts and what she's doing or he's doing in order to fully comprehend and understand the text.
Well, as the Read Aloud, Think Aloud, we had a charla about it, and they taught us how to use it at home to get the kids interested in reading. But to me, my kids already love reading, so it was kind of easy when I was transitioning my kid from 5th to 6th, my youngest. It was hard because she wanted to stay with the younger books. So we started reading books together.
It can be fiction, nonfiction, traditional lit. So we started with Read Aloud, Think Aloud, and that meant that it's in every class, every day.
Follow along with me with this story. It's called More Pies. Okay, so I made a copy for each one of you so that you can follow along. I'm going to make some connections with this story. My 3 things that I'm going to be doing while I'm reading this story today. I'm going to be questioning. I'm going to be asking myself some questions to help me understand the story. I'm going to be making some inferences. Okay, and then the last one I'm going to be doing is I'm going to also be visualizing a little bit in my head. And all 3 of these are going to help me to understand the story that much better. You are just going to listen, and then towards the end of the story, you are going to be able to make some connections on your own.
Here at Peck, we're using the seven habits of proficient readers, which are determining importance, activating schema, which is making connections, visualizing, inferring, questioning, synthesizing, and monitoring for meaning.
Tenemos 7 hábitos para un lector avanzado. El primero es haciendo conexiones, en el cual conectamos lo que estamos leyendo con nuestras experiencias pasadas, con lo que leemos en otros libros y con lo que está pasando en el mundo. Creamos imágenes, es como una cámara fotográfica en la que vemos una película según vamos leyendo en nuestras mentes. Inferir, buscamos el significado de lo que estamos leyendo entre líneas. De eso es lo que quiere decir inferir. Estamos tratando de buscar significado, estamos leyendo y buscando qué son las palabras que nos pueden ayudar, cuáles son las oraciones que nos pueden ayudar para entender muchísimo mejor lo que estamos leyendo. Determinar importancia. Cuando leemos tenemos un propósito para leer y el propósito que estamos buscando, cuando leemos estamos pendientes de qué es lo que estamos buscando para continuar leyendo. El integrar quiere decir que estamos haciendo un resumen de lo que estamos leyendo y además del resumen estamos trayendo nuestra opinión a lo que estamos leyendo. Lo que estamos leyendo se internaliza muchísimo mejor que solamente leer y hacer un resumen cualquiera. Y la otra que es muy importante para todos es preguntar, hacer preguntas. Preguntas, porque es la mejor forma de poder entender un texto.
Samuel woke up really hungry. So Samuel's mom got out a really big salad bowl, filled it full of cereal, and gave him 2 milkshakes, 3 stacks of pancakes, and a fried chicken. Samuel ate it all really fast. I want you to stay on this page for a moment with me, because when I read, filled it full of cereal, 2 milkshakes, and 3 stacks of pancakes, and fried chicken, I asked myself in the story when I was reading that, I was questioning, and I asked myself, how could Samuel possibly eat all of this food? Why is he so hungry? I don't know how somebody could eat this much. I wonder if I keep reading, I wonder if he's going to want even more food. I wonder, because he's eating a lot of food. So let's find out. Turn the page.
Parents and tutors could explain these concepts to students that they're helping or their child by just really explaining their thinking as they're reading something. Reading it aloud and saying, when I read this, I thought this. It could be a picture that came to their mind, a question they had, something they felt was important, or something they weren't sure about, or a prediction they may have had.
Then Samuel said, I am still really hungry. I was right. My inference was right.
So you stop and you say that while I was reading this, I could see or I could smell.
When I read, Samuel, if you are so hungry, why don't you go to the pie eating contest? There's one at the fair in the park. I can already visualize in my mind a picture of Samuel at that park with a whole bunch of pies in front of him. I can visualize that already. And I can visualize pies and things from inside the pie all over the place, because I have a feeling that it's going to be very messy. And I'm thinking that probably Samuel will still be hungry, even after all those pies. Let's find out. Can anybody make any inference there before we turn and see what happens? Can anybody predict what's going to happen? Damien.
I can infer that Samuel's gonna keep bugging him, asking him for pie, and he's gonna put him in the contest.
So let's all read to find out what happens. Okay?
La técnica de leer en voz alta y pensar en voz alta ayuda a todo lector a poder entender mejor lo que está leyendo, porque ayuda a crear esta cámara fotográfica que tenemos en nuestro cerebro, y lo que hacemos es activarla para que cada vez que leemos creamos estas imágenes y podemos entender mejor lo que estamos leyendo.
Some ways to practice reading aloud and thinking aloud with students that you might be working with or your child would just be to spend some time reading to them or with them at home and just asking them some questions, what thoughts they have going on in their minds as they're reading, and sharing yours with them. And then really just applying it everywhere you go. If you're reading a magazine, a newspaper article, directions to a video game, or home, reading the menu, asking if they had any questions about anything on the menu at a restaurant. So you really, any place that there's words to read, you can think about what those words mean for the student.
We'll read a paragraph together, and then I'll say, what does that paragraph remind you? Does it remind you of a vacation that we took, or does it remind you of something you did at school? So that's one thing that I use that, to help her. I took the stuff that were already happening in school and I took it into the home setting.
Las estrategias para la lectura pueden ser reforzadas en la casa mediante lectura de cualquier tipo de texto. Puede ser una revista, puede ser un cuento con fotos, puede ser un magazine, leyendo una receta, leyendo la caja de cereal.
A fireman, a lumberjack, a construction worker are definitely probably going to beat a little boy in a pie eating contest. Why do I think that? Because I know that all of these men are a lot older and they're a lot bigger than him. So I'm inferring that they're most likely going to win the contest. And that little boy, he's never going to be able to beat those men.
My oldest daughter, she just loves books, so she would come to the table and she would be reading a book, and to conversate with her, I would tell her, what are you reading? What is the book about? And so what does that book remind you of?
Reread that page if you need to, but if you made any kind of connection right there or an inference or question, I want you to write it on this sticky note. And then I'm going to have you on your own read the rest of the story, and any other questions, inferences, or visualizing that you make from the rest of the story on until the end, I want you to write it on the sticky note so then we can end up sharing afterwards. And now you're going to try it on your own. Okay?
I think Samuel's so hungry because I probably had a dream that I was reading different kinds of things. When I read pies, said Samuel, oh, my tummy hurts. I can't afraid that Samuel is sick from eating all the food he ate.
What do you think will eventually happen to the brother? If we were to continue this story, what do you eventually think is going to happen to the brother? Gabby, what do you think would happen to the brother eventually?
He might do the same thing that his big brother did.
Yeah, and what do you think is going to happen to him at the end? And he's probably going to get a stomach ache, right?
Mom's probably going to get a stomach ache. And I'm going to get a...
Good job. Excellent. Why don't you all give yourselves a round of applause? You did an excellent